All right, welcome everybody. Tuesday, post market. We got to find a name for this. There's no real name. We got the Saturday Sweep Series, post market strategy session, or something corny like that. I got to get creative. But um, for those of you who are new, we get together every Tuesday, post market, talk a little bit about the early week flow, sentiment, what we're seeing early on in the week, and try to put the pieces to the puzzle together, maybe come up and solidify a game plan for the rest of the week, what to keep an eye out for. Talk a little bit about some of the flow we're seeing. And I mean, eventually, we especially, we got a lot of members that come on this webinar, and it's open to the public as well, but I don't want it to be just about the flow and sentiment. I could talk about that too. I turned purple in the face, but I would like to start a discussion, on Tuesdays after we briefly talk about some of the flow and the sentiment stuff, how people trade off this stuff. You know what I mean? And again, not, at first we were looking, I guess, to bring on some of the more seasoned traders, some of the more seasoned players. But I think it's a good idea if we start to talk amongst ourselves, even with traders, players that are trying to find their footing, maybe starting to see the light, maybe finally figured out what hurdles they have to overcome and are working on that. So that's the direction eventually we're going to go. And as we get into the fall, as September rolls around, we'll be a little more organized on that part. But I think that's the direction I want to take this Tuesday webinar in particular. And I think we could all learn a lot from that, okay? Because I told you guys that I've been around one style of player for most of my career. I've seen active traders, I've seen day traders, swing traders, position traders. But then, once I found my little niche, for the most part, I had around me players that played the same way. All right. And now, since the Steam Room has opened a couple years ago, I see more and more, especially on the newer side, I see a lot of newer traders, and I see the direction they take in where they fall into the trap of trying to become the next Jesse Livermore, the next Paul Tudor Jones. Rather than finding a niche, their goal has become to become that superstar trader that, again, we spoke about this in past webinars, that can trade anything. And I think that's a trap that a lot of newer traders fall into. The odds are stacked against you to accomplish that. And I'm not trying to be a wet blanket here. I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade, but it's almost like becoming a professional athlete in a sense. I can shoot hoops from when the sun comes up till it goes down, and I'm not making the NBA. So you have to come to the realization in this sport, in this game, you have to come to the conclusions of what I need to do to find success. What am I good at? What am I not good at? What gets me in trouble continuously? And how can I stay away from that? If you try to become that all-around trader that can trade small caps, options, blue chips, Bitcoin, whatever it is, I can trade it, the odds are severely against you, and the likelihood is you're not going to be around too long in this game. That's the truth of the matter. Okay, there may be one or two people on this whole entire webinar, not including myself, because I think that's when I started to see the light, when I came to that conclusion and said, listen, all right, I cannot rely on my trading skills, my gut, and my emotions to make it in this game, because I'll be on the street corner with a cup in no time. So that's when I started to see the light and started to do things a little differently. And, things, just the whole process became a lot smoother. And, little by little, I'm starting to see that from certain people in the room and private Twitter that I talk to continuously. But for the most part, you see way too many traders just coming in thinking they can just open their eyes and trade anything in front of them on any given day. And, like I said, it's just, this game is just probability and odds, and when they're stacked against you and you're just thick-headed and you want to put your head down and ram into a wall regardless, you're going to get the wall. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is I would like to bring on a variety of different traders, and maybe you can take away one or two things from the whole entire group that you feel comfortable with. And like for me, for example, I don't, if somebody calls me a gambler in this game, I, you know, I, I'm not offended by that. I consider myself a gambler. As a matter of fact, I think my gambling background is one of the reasons why I've hung around in this game long enough, because I've been around that gambling background in general. I've seen degenerate gamblers. I've seen professional gamblers who never had to work a single day in their lives live an extremely comfortable life. And you could see, is a drastic difference between the two. The professional gambler was not just tied into just the action, right? He wasn't betting the televised games just to have action on those games. Right? He would isolate, one game on the card, maybe that he had an edge in off the line, and he would hammer that continuously. Look to hit high 50s percentage wise, and all he needed to do was figure out a way to size up, and he was set. Where the degenerate's like, all right, you know what? I can play every Monday night football game and make money. I can play the whole entire Sunday card, 1 o'clocks and 4 o'clocks. I can have action and net a profit out of this thing. And I think that's the difference between the two. And it fits in the market. I mean, you talk about almost a mirror image of each other. It's the same exact thing. If you want to actually find some consistency and make money in this game, you can't come in and just play to play. You can't look just to have action. You got to find a way or find some sort of game plan, money management scheme around you to keep you in check, to not allow you to do those things. All right. So, and that's why when I'm called a gambler, I don't frown upon that. I'm consider myself a gambler. I don't consider myself a trader. I don't actively trade. You know what I mean? I can't trade Bitcoin right now and make money consistently. I have an edge and I look to hammer that home, and that's my job basically. So, as we talk to more and more people, more and more traders, you're going to realize, in my opinion anyway, that the people who start to see the light, they start to focus on their niche. They start to focus on their strengths. They start to focus on staying away from stuff that will get them emotionally involved. And maybe we can learn from each other, good and bad, what to stay, because you can learn from the bad just as much as the good, right? I mean, in a heartbeat. You can look at the bad and know exactly what not to do, and it's up to you not to do it. So I think you learn more from the bad than from the good. Everybody wants to hear, the magic potion, the ingredients, and what you need to do to be a good trader, to be a successful trader. It's the stuff you got to stay away from. I think that's even more important. Anywho, let's talk about the flow and the market real quick, and then we'll get into some of your questions. We're coming out little by little. We're getting through earnings season. It's been a big pain in the rear end, as we spoke about through a couple of these webinars. getting in the way of some decent action, decent setups. I think that's the one thing I like best about this current market situation is there are a decent amount of setups out there. Okay, we just need that aggressive activity to see what we're looking at right now, and or be interested, I should say, in what we're seeing out there. Okay, but there are stocks like you see this market, we're right off new highs, right? And you think everything's just peachy. You look under the hood, there are stocks that have been going down basically in a straight line for 2 straight months. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a bear market under the hood that nobody's really talking about, whether it's got to do with tariffs, the currency situation. Now you got the Turkey currency, the lira involved here, whatever it may be. The good thing I think about this market environment, a lot of stuff has come in. Okay. And the reason I feel better about that, if you remember in January, when we finally peaked out, everything was hot. If you remember throughout 2017, we were in that bull market, and what held that market together for the most part was that constant rotation. Okay, they never let anything get too hot, maybe some small pockets, but constant moving around of money. And then finally, December into January, everything just got hot. Okay, and what happens is when everything gets hot and everything needs to cool off, that's when shit can hit the fan. All right, but right now, as this market has been, a choppy grind, but net right off highs, for crying out loud, underneath the hood, in my opinion, there already is a correction. There already is a correction in several different groups, several different sectors. So that's a good thing. And I think that money could eventually rotate into these spots. It's just, it's a matter of when the smart money wants to roll the dice, when they think these things are attractive enough to speculate in. It's one thing to start buying a dip. We're looking in the options market for when these guys are getting aggressive as far as speculation is concerned. All right, so we're still waiting for that. We're seeing some names, a handful of names here and there, but not as much as we're capable of seeing, not as much as we would like to see. All right, so that's the environment as a whole. Okay, that's been the action as a whole. We had earnings in the way. Things should start to clear up a lot more now each and every day that passes. It gets a little irritable. You got like Baba, for example. Okay, this thing's been getting beat over the head, right? And you see some decent size action, like even today, some decent size action come in off a real nice pull. Some big size out there today in December calls. But you got earnings a couple days away. So it's tough to trust. And you remember I was pulling my hair out of my head because the Roku was catching incredible action. You finally got a nice pull there, more action into that pull, and you had 3-4 days before you had to roll the dice into earnings. Aside from trusting the overall activity, which is a whole other story. Okay, so that's the issue with earnings season. That's my pet peeve. I'm used to it by now because it feels like earnings season never really goes away. All right, but as more and more of these names report, the action becomes cleaner, and we'll be able to get a better feel. For example, like EA. Okay, if this action came in pre-earnings, I probably ignore it. Obviously, I ignore it. And now that this ridiculous size is starting to pile up in Jan's post earnings after a pull, is that much better. Okay, and you're getting. It's not all. See, a lot of earnings seasons, you see the big explosion and these stocks run away from you, kind of like a Roku. And that's still going on, but you got a good amount of names like this that, getting hit off some earning report. Whether the numbers aren't good, whether they missed guidance or their guidance was like, whatever the case may be, there's going to be some negative around a pull like this. All right. If you see that aggressive activity, that size activity, for me, I say to people in the room, I don't mind losing my money betting on that type of action in EA. I'm being honest. I don't mind losing my money in that. What bothers me is when I lose, when I lose a decent amount of money on some cheap spec action in, out of the money front month garbage. This is the stuff where I try to avoid as much as possible, not trying to even put my feelings involved, what I think about it. Because like I said, usually it's going to come when I wouldn't buy it. That's why I suck. And I'm looking for the flow as guidance. So I don't mind losing my money here. And on that note, okay, I've been around a long time, 20 plus years, been doing this particular style for a long time. I botched it on my end, okay, because we were seeing that type of action come into a name, and I couldn't get myself to buy it. As much as I'm telling you, I want to lose my money, blah, 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 on this type of action. This NLSN, I couldn't get myself to buy it. I kept using the excuse, let me see if they buy more. If they bought any more, they would have bought the whole entire float. And finally, the last piece was a risk reversal. That should have been the final kick in the rear end. Post earnings, off a pull. And obviously she catches news a couple of days out. Elliott, out of all, right? Shocker, Elliott. But this is the stuff that I want to see. We were seeing a lot of this stuff post-election, a lot of the sharper activity. We're seeing less and less of it because this bull market obviously is at a later stage than it was after the election. All right, but there's a decent amount of pulls out there that you can be patient enough and wait for the action. Me personally, for swing trades, for the most part, I'm looking for this type of activity. Okay, and to be a part of this type of activity, I think you have to approach it a certain way, and that's not be trigger happy. Okay, not be so excited to pull the trigger on something you may like or may be interested in. All right, so EA, for example, we saw some flow come in off this gap down. Okay, but because of the market conditions, we had bullish sentiment at an extreme at the time. We were in earnings season, a lot of different intangibles. I wanted them to force me to buy it. Okay, so no, I'm not tailing that little action that came into EA, even though it might be at a decent spot. I want to see you guys really buy this thing. Show me you have strong confidence in this thing down here, and then I'll buy it. So I couldn't react off the first batch of action that came into the name. They hit it again, and then they hit it again, and then I said, okay, I have no choice here. So that's the approach you got to take if you want to try to focus on this type of activity, because it really is going to come all at once. Really is going to come all at once at one spot. You guys remember some of the recent names like the Campbell Soup. They take time. If they're buying blood, these type of situations, you're not looking necessarily for a quick trade. If you are, that's a different story, okay? But if you're looking kind of what I'm looking at here, looking at a decent entry, risk reward wise, if this was a quick trade, I'd probably be out of it already. Okay, I'm not. These things are going to take time for the most part to bottom out, get that accumulation going. So you don't need to be in a rush, and you want these things to set up. There are several names out there that I'm kind of eyeing, hoping one of them ends up panning out to becoming this type of activity. But we'll see. We'll see. EA, this NLSN, with some of the stronger ones out there. And the rest here and there, I'm sure you guys have some names you'll throw at me, and we could go over those. Okay. As far as sentiment's concerned, if you guys remember, oh, maybe not. I get the webinars confused here, but basically, up here, after a move, you're going to have a little too much bullishness out there. Okay, a lot of things. The daily sentiment index, a lot of you guys follow that. That was up, I think, in 85%. All the indicators we look at showing some heat on the bull side. These little washes wipe out all that sentiment time and time again. Okay, and you add a little bit of news like this Turkey crisis into the mix, and it gets the job done even quicker, in a sense. That's how crazy the shift in sentiment has been out there. Okay, and you can see even again put to call, which is just a pretty broad measure of possible nervousness, panic out there. I think this is the total put to call on TradingView, but you can see the spike there into this selling. All right, off this rally today, good amount of that coming off, but you can see that spike into that selling there. That usually sets up, that snapback squeeze. All right, and on that note, before I start talking to you guys, I think for the remainder of this summer, I think that's where most likely the best risk reward is going to be. Off weakness, you get maybe the currency in Turkey falling out of bed or whatever the case may be, tariffs to create some selling. You find a name you like that you did the right thing, didn't chase plus $2 a couple of days before. And, you look for an entry there, you get the squeeze, you get the hell out of it. Somebody was talking about, and you guys know the names. This Microsoft, right? Time and time again, they support this name. CRM is going to report eventually here soon, but CRM is one of those names. I'll throw in this Take-Two. I think you get some weakness there. That would set up as a nice entry. Gotta believe they come right after that and bring that back. So, for the remainder of this month, as the overall activity out there is kind of dull, especially, in the middle of the afternoon, price action wise is pretty dead. No momentum out there. I think that's where the best risk reward is going to come as far as any swing trades. Okay. As far as position trades, if you're looking off the flow, again, I can only tell you what I'm doing, and I'm trying to focus on this type of stuff. There's not going to be as much of it. You're going to sit around, many days and not have too many swings to root for, but that could be good in a sense, right? That could be a good thing in a sense. Because think about it, the other action, you're looking to be tactical. You don't want to be spread out, 8 positions deep on the call side. Okay, in the market that you have to be tactical in because there's nothing special going on, and we got, some volatility as we head into the worst month seasonally of the year in September. You don't want to be caught holding the bag and this market take a hickey on you. Even if it's a short-term hickey. So, that kind of stuff keeps me in check. If I'm just focusing on this type of stuff for swing trading position purposes, I'm not going to have too many positions on. I'm not going to be leaning too hard in a particular direction. And honestly, yet I don't see any reason to be super aggressive out there. I don't see any reason to be super aggressive out there. So that's all I would, as far as sharing what I'm seeing out there. I would try positions, stick to the top shelf type activity out there. The more you see of it, I think the better things bode for the market as a whole. All right. The other stuff you want to try to be tactical with, you want to try to be quicker with. And in my opinion, you look to buy weakness to conquer that. You buy strength in this market. You may get away with it here and there, but for the most part, you're going to have a tough time. All right. And sentiment as far as where we are now, I think we finished a little above neutral today on the sentiment side. Yesterday, we didn't quite get bullish signals across the board on some of the shorter term stuff. We got pretty close at the lows yesterday, but we didn't quite get there. Today, we closed a little bit over neutral. So no major signals out of sentiment currently. We're stuck in neutral no man's land here. Let me get to some of your questions, and we can talk about some of the stuff you got on your mind here as far as names and things like that. Hold on, let me blow this up so I can see what the hell I'm talking to here. All right. Let's scroll from the top, and we'll go from there. Hold on. Berkshire increases stake, Teva sweepers. Yeah, that Teva looked interesting. It had a conference. I think had an analyst meeting too today. That news just came out now. Who said? Somebody in the room said that too when they said that, when we saw these sweepers. Yeah, this was an interesting name. This was an interesting name. It still is. You got off a little pull. We'll see, what kind of reaction tomorrow, and has been catching some action into this pull here the last couple of days too. Initially they bought this dip right here on earnings. That's where we started seeing sweeper activity again. So looks up a little bit in the aftermarket, and we'll see tomorrow how the flow looks. But yeah, some interesting action there, Robbie, in the Teva. Eric's saying he has an AMD long. AMD, one of the better stocks out there. I mean, how can here's a name too, Eric, that I was giving the example earlier. Yeah, you see a pull in AMD, right? And for those, again, I sometimes get confused when I'm talking to just members only and talking to everybody out there. But members know exactly what I'm talking about. You see a favorable squeezometer, okay, and AMD is red. You like AMD? That's your entry for a trade. You know what I mean? What you want to try to avoid with an AMD here, and we were talking, I forgot who I was talking with in the room. You don't want to size up off a 3-day rally up here and look for that big next leg higher. Okay. Is it possible that that can happen? Of course it is. But on a risk reward basis, especially the type of market we're in, you're likely something like this at the least comes before another push higher. Okay. That's at the least. You may get a wash even more significant than that. And, if you're waiting for that, if you have some cash and you're eyeing an AMD, that's what you would wait for, in my opinion. But if you're looking here, you don't want to chase if you're looking for a bigger move here. If you're looking to just flip it, you're playing momentum, obviously that's a different story. So that's where you can fall into the trap in AMD, because at some point, you're going to get a wash. You're going to get some sort of wash. But she's been great. You can't take anything away from that name. And they sweep this name every freaking day. Every day. What else we got going on? Abby saying he was just been trading the ETFs. Abby, we were talking about that in the room. That's not the worst idea right now, honestly. As far as active trading, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. And again, if you think about it, the one frustrating thing is, even with the signals we're looking at, you get a squeezometer, let's say yesterday, right? That's in your favor. You're like, okay, I got some cash. I want to buy something just as a play off the short-term sentiment. Not something I want to tuck away like an EA with some time, but a trade. I know they're getting a little too bearish. I want to look for that squeeze and I want to get out. The worst feeling in the world is when you buy a name, and Abby, you know what I'm talking about, and you get the squeeze and the name doesn't squeeze with it, right? You want to kill somebody. So, and this is a market where that can happen a lot, guys. You see it, right? That can happen a lot in this type of environment. Yeah, you got Chinese names going down in a straight line. You got industrial names can't get out of bed every morning. You got the gambling stocks, which can't find a bid for the life of them. So what Abby's talking about here, as far as being tactical, you're probably better off with trading the indices, without a doubt. Without a doubt. You know, so you can look towards that if you feel more comfortable. And, you know, if you want to build some longer term positions in like an EA, you're not going to have too much of that anyway. So you can do that as well and be tactical in the ETFs or, you know, ES and that stuff. But I hear you, Javi. That's not a bad idea at all. Ani's saying, I played EA from 127 to 132 and got out, but I need a better strategy for re-entry. Well, see, here's the thing, Ani, and I don't know any other approach that I've come up with. Maybe somebody else on here has some insight on it. But for me, I have to determine what type of trade I'm doing before I even push the buy button. Okay. So when I saw that activity into EA and they convinced me to buy it, okay, I said, I'm making a play on this. I'm buying Jans based off the sharp activity out in the Jan strikes, and I'm not looking to trade this. Okay, I'm not looking to trade this. I'm looking for a bigger reward there. I'm taking on more risk to get that bigger reward. Okay, and I determined that, you know, before I even started buying some Jan calls. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. The recent run up, you know, people were cracking jokes in the room saying, Jesus, don't sell this thing because, you know, I wanted to lock that profit in that quick. But what helped me, I made that determination that I'm looking for more than just a trade. So I cannot be angry if I lose those short-term profits. You understand? And I'm out in Jan. So I'm positioned that way too. Okay. The problem I see a lot of players get, you know, the problem they get into, again, they want their cake and they want to eat it too. You know, they want to catch that Jan move in what you played. Okay. In August or September calls. They want to catch that big move that Jan Sharpie's playing for, and they want to catch it, you know, in front month and weekly stuff. I mean, you can't do that, guys. You can't. Okay. You got to, again, before you push buttons, you got to decide what type of play you want to make on the name. You're looking for that quick trade. What Ani just said was the perfect way to play it. Perfect way to play it. You got, what was it? How long were you in it, Ani? A day or two? And you got to move like that. 2 days. Okay? What's in this type of market? That's picture perfect. You can't beat that as far as a trade. You'll take that time and time again. All right? So that's what you would be looking for a trade. All right? If you're looking for the bigger move, you're okay giving up some of these shorter term profits because you're looking for the bigger move and you have enough time to give up those profits and come back from it. The problem is if you're positioned out in next week calls, okay, and this EA comes back down to where it started, right? Down to where it started again, you're behind the 8 ball. Yeah, and listen, Ani, trust me, you're talking to the wrong one here. For me too, holding, I'm the worst at it. I'm the worst at it. Okay, don't get me started. I'm the worst at it. I got a quick trigger, but listen, I would even be even worse than I am if I didn't have enough time to force me to hold it. You know, I remember like PayPal. I was ready to dump that thing literally, you know, the first pop in the thing. I was ready to dump it. But luckily I had some time where I gave it a little more leash. Still, I was too quick and got out way too early. But whatever. Same thing with FDC. You know, I had enough time to where I milked it as long as I possibly can. Others probably could have milked it a little more, but based on my personality. But I agree with you. I agree. I think that bothers me as much as you're saying. That bothers me the most. Giving up. I hate giving up profits. I don't mind losers. I hate giving up profits. I don't know why. It's probably the way I'm wired. I hate seeing a profit there, a decent profit, and then it's not there. You get that pit in your stomach where you want to smash somebody. So, I get it. Trust me. What other questions we have here? Let me scroll down. Yeah, somebody else mentioning about ETF trading and ES trading. Yeah, right now I think I agree with that 100% right now. Again, the main thing is you don't want to chase strength. Even like a day like today, okay? You come off some selling yesterday, you get the snapback rally today. There's going to be a lot of people, a lot of players chasing this move today, looking tomorrow if we have a little follow through, chasing that move tomorrow. And it's not that they won't get away with it. If you never got away with it, then it'd be easy to stay away from it. The problem is the devil in this market will pay you for doing that shit, but then eventually bite you in the rear end. So you want to sit tight. You want to wait for weakness, let it come. You want to wait for sentiment to soften in your favor, let it come. If the market runs away from you a little bit, so be it. So be it. You see what type of market we're in. What are you worried about? Let me get to some other questions here. Yeah, and guys, throw some names out there, what you guys are looking at right now. Maybe, something I didn't mention here. What else we got here? Robert saying the gambling analogy is awesome. Taking me a long time to understand the more. Yeah, Robert, I have people actually like laugh kind of in a joking manner when I talk about it in a gambling sense, because you see people on social media, you see people on Twitter, you see a lot of people. I'm an investor, I'm a trader, I'm not a gambler, and you hear from people that are trading options, for crying out loud. You got to acknowledge you're a gambler. You just don't have to be a degenerate gambler. And I think if you look at it as you're gambling, but if you have some discipline, a systematic type of strategy behind you, you got a shot in this game. But if you lie to yourself and it makes you feel better to tell you you're not gambling, but you're trading weeklies and front month and you're investing, you're going to get clocked in the head. You're going to get clocked in the head. So one way or another, they learn the hard way. Twitter for a snapback long. Yeah, I don't know. I can't get too excited about it here yet. There's flow there. We've seen, some people have been trading it. It hasn't really gone anywhere yet. But I haven't seen anything to get me excited yet, I guess, Peter. You know what I mean? I don't know what it would take in a name like this, because there's always action in it. Now especially a lot of eyeballs on it. I have to see. I guess I have to see some legit action in it. I would have to see EA type action to get me interested. Anything beyond a trade. So yeah, in other words, a trade meaning you can buy weakness. You see some flow, you can buy weakness, and you're looking to flip strength. You're going to squeeze a couple days. Anything more than that, I want to see the big boys get aggressive in it. And it's possible. Student loans are, Jason, everything in life is a gamble. Everything. We gamble on everything. We gamble in everything we do in life. But again, if you don't, I think if you're not familiar with gambling, it puts that stain on it. And you want to lie to yourself and say you're not rolling the dice, that's fine. But you could be a degenerate investor too, right? And lose all your money. Look, Jesse Livermore considered himself a trader, right? He's an icon amongst everybody. The guy ended up broke and dead. So it goes to show you. OLED, probably, in my opinion, the best looking sweep today came in OLED. I'm not crazy about the spot up here. What I mean is, yeah, what am I going to do up here now? You want to buy this up here? So that's the problem there, Darmesh. Again, good looking sweepers today, no doubt. Good looking orders there. But I just, this is not my cup of tea up here. This is not my cup of tea. I like to buy things out of consolidation, some weakness before they move. This off earnings, especially, it'd be one thing if we were down here still chopping around. Off of earnings, this thing had a big jump. So maybe, the way I would look at it, I would probably wait for a breather at some point in this thing. This thing flies all over the place. So this thing could come down to 114 and still look good, right? Think about that. The stock was 121 today. Could come down to 114 and still look decent. So that's where I look to nab a dip on it if I was interested in it. What other names we saw today? Baidu, it's one of these names again that just continues to go south with not a bid in sight, right? There's quite a few of these names. Whether it's, I don't know if it's a Baidu situation, a China situation, or whatever the case may be. It caught December sweep. He's underwater already. I think it was up here. Caught a decent December sweep. I didn't play it. I'm looking for more. I want them to hammer this. You know what I mean, Alberto? I want them to hammer it. Like, I want them to come in and I want them to say, oh my God, Baidu's a gift right here. We're going to sweep the living daylights out of this thing. Because off a pull like this, they should. They should. They should. So that's what I'm trying to be patient for and wait. And I think, honestly, it's a good thing in this market because look. You know what I mean? Look. And nothing's running away from you. Nothing's running away from you here. And one thing I know, I guess maybe this helps me out a lot, is I know that this market is not going to rage to the upside and sweepers are going to get caught empty-handed. That's not going to happen. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. So they may miss Baidu, but trust me, they will hammer something else to make up for missing Baidu. That's like the post-election, right? When Trump got elected, there was all doom and gloom and sentiment, disaster. We couldn't find a bullish thing that could possibly happen to help this market. Okay, futures crashing after the Trump election. He got elected, the futures were crashing overnight. And then just when you least expect it, missile after missile after missile. We were in heaven. Names that we never would see action like that in, just catching ridiculous amounts of action. Transportation names that never catch flow. The Deeres of the world, the Caterpillars of the world, So, and think about it, there was a nice little pull there where a lot of charts were damaged. And when they want it, the Deeres and the Caterpillars, when they want it, you can't miss it. You understand? It's going to look like EA type action. You can't miss it. You can't miss it. It's not something you're going to have to search, or you go to the bathroom and take a piss and miss. You can't miss it. It'll be continuous and it'll be aggressive. And listen, maybe it doesn't come, okay? There's a possibility it doesn't come, but that's going to tell us a lot about the market if it doesn't. You understand? If they're not buying these names aggressively that look like this, okay, you may have a rally, but more than likely that rally is just going to roll over and you'll see these things head south again. That's the point I'm trying to make. There'll be rallies, but maybe there's a reason they don't have much confidence in some of these things. Maybe they're waiting for something, who knows? But we're not seeing it. Like for example, Baidu caught, it was a decent December sweep, small lot. He laid some decent wood, out in time. You would think that whatever outfit that was, whatever fund syndicate player that was, he would come back and look to add if he had that much confidence, and we haven't seen him. We haven't seen him. Again, I'm using the example. Do you see what the EA Jan player is doing? Do you see how he's attacking this thing? Do you remember Campbell's Soup? That's a good example too, right? Campbell's Soup. This thing was a travesty. Travesty. Look at this. Not a bounce in sight. And then right after earnings, after the horrible earnings they reported, maybe that's what they were waiting for. That's when they sized up and started gobbling this thing up. And now, every day we hear of, the people getting involved here, right? Who was it? Third Point? Who was just mentioned gobbling it up? They did it right around here too, right where all that action was. Right where all that action was. So that's what you kind of want to see in these names getting beat up for anything more than a trade. These things are tough right now. These things are tough. These things are tough. And listen, let me ask you this question, okay? Who was it? Alberto, I think it was you, right? Who asked about the Baidu? What are you looking for in Baidu? Are you looking just for a trade? Or are you saying, wow, this thing got really beat up here. This might be a decent entry for something more than a trade. What are you looking for out of the Baidu? What makes you even bring it up? Because if you're looking for just a trade, there are other things out there. Other things out there that are easier right now to trade. We mentioned some of them. Microsoft, AMD, CRM. You see weakness in those names, they snap back like a slingshot. Take-Two. This type of price action is appealing. Oh, yeah. So you're looking further out for that bigger move. I would wait for real action there. So you're looking more than the trade. I would wait for some real action there. Or maybe you want to piece in nice and easy type of thing. But I don't think you need to rush. Yeah, UAA, Darmish is mentioning, had some solid activity. If you guys remember, UAA caught activity pre-earnings. Okay. Pretty much had no reaction off earnings, then drifted lower, and now the action's been picking up again in this UAA. Retail is unconscious. Do you see these retailers? Cores, same thing. Earnings got in the way. On fire. Was it TPR off the old coach off earnings? Tapestry. This thing took off today, SIG. There was a big sweep today in RL, Ralph Lauren, which looks solid. The only thing about this RL, there's an August position, profitable August position that's going to expire Friday. So he could be just replacing that bet, you know? So it takes away of some of the bullishness, but you could see strong names, strong stocks. These retail names are insane. I don't remember the last time that I did a good swing trade, kind of impatient. You know, that's, you got to wait. You got to wait for your setups, you know? You got to wait for your setups. And if they're not there, you shouldn't, you shouldn't experience FOMO. You got to have confidence. Whatever it is you're basing your position trades on, okay? Whatever it is you're basing it on, if your signals aren't there, you shouldn't have FOMO. You understand? You shouldn't have FOMO. Right? If your signals are telling you not to do anything, right? There's nothing lining up for what you look for in a swing position, then there's no reason to go out there and just find something to swing because you're what? Bored? And if listen, if it's that big of an issue for you, okay? If it is, you got to be honest with yourself. If it's that big of an issue, then you have to find something that will keep you in check. You have to find something else. If that means sizing down dramatically and just fooling around, you hope to, even out your wins and losses, and you size down dramatically just to keep yourself occupied and entertained, then you have to do that. I like to day trade the equity off momentum in these names, okay, and try to make a little money while I wait for swings. Alex is saying, how should you be sizing plays with small accounts? What kind of plays? You talking on the option side? I mean, it's listen. Options. You guys gotta understand. It's hard enough with equities, let alone with options. Options, you're going to lose money playing options. You know what I mean? You're going to lose money. So I think the approach you have to take, okay, and listen, you may come to the conclusion that my account's small enough where I have to roll the dice. I have to go all in. And if I blow myself up, it's small enough that I can get back on my feet and get at it again. Okay, you may have determined that, and that's the conclusion you come to, and that's totally okay. Okay, but the end game for you has to be that if I have more winners than losers, that's my main goal. Okay, so sizing up in one name, whether you hit in that name or you lose in that name, is irrelevant in the big scheme of things. You could get lucky and make a score in that name, or you can touch one loser out of the 5 and lose all your money in that name. Right? One play is total luck regardless. All right, so that's where the sizing aspect has got to come from you. Nobody could tell you how to size up in things, how to diversify a small account or big account or whatever the case may be. The approach that I would take, okay, if I was starting fresh here, okay, and I was basing it off activity and doing the same thing I'm doing right now, what I would do is play the top action out there, and as long as I allow myself to have losers. You understand? So if I touch 8 names and 6 of them I made money on, 2 of them I lost money on, I'm thrilled about that. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I know many new traders that when they touch one loser, the world comes crumbling down around them. They rely on this. This has to be a winner. This one has to be a winner. Or you'll hear them complain about the same one stock that was a loser. The same one, just one stock that was a loser. And they'll complain about that. Why? Because they put all their eggs in one basket and they were hoping for that one to be a winner. And they were unlucky and it happened to be a loser. All right, but the name of the game is your wins to be greater than your losses at the end of the game. Period. That should be your starting point. Forget about everything else. Forget about everything else. Okay? Once you have confidence that you have some sort of strategy in place that allows you to win more than you lose, once you have the confidence in that strategy, you'll find a way to size up. Trust me, you'll find a way. You'll rob a bank if you have to. You'll rob a family member if you have to. But, that's the point. That's where you want to get to. That's the ultimate destination if you're starting off with a small account. To have confidence in your strategy that even when you lose, at the end of the day, you're gonna have more winners than losers. Yeah, and if it means for a lot of people, you have to size down to even get to that mind frame. You understand? If you're too big in a position, you're going to stress out every tick. Right now, let's say, for example, okay, you're in what's holy shit, EA, okay, and you're in Jan calls, let's say. All right, if you're watching every tick in EA right now, sweating, and you're in Jan calls, that's the complete opposite place where you want to be. Okay? If you're watching every tick in EA and you're in Jan calls and you're stressing, use that as an example because that's the complete opposite place you want to be. You want to be at a place where you say, all right, I got a position in the EA Jan calls. That's one play. I got time. I'm not looking to get shaken out. I have confidence in the flow. I have confidence in my strategy. And I'm sitting here patiently waiting for action similar to this EA so I can get long that. Okay? There's going to be a loser in the mix. I have no idea which one it's going to be. There's going to be a loser in the mix. There always is. Right, IGT. There you go. Everybody knows the loser, right, Alex? IGT. There you go. There's going to be an IGT. There's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? Nothing you can do about it. But if you played the PayPal, right? You played the IGT, you played the Campbell's Soup, you played the FDC, and you played all these top shelf action type names, or the majority of them, you understand there's going to be a loser. In IGT, who gives a shit? Whether it was IGT or any other name for that matter. Right? But if you put all your eggs in one basket and you said, you know what? I don't know, FDC, Campbell's Soup, PayPal. I don't like all that. IGT, I'm going to put it all in IGT. I need that one to click and then I'm rolling. And this is what happens. You're done. And as you If you're, let's say, playing the other action, which is not that special type of activity, right? You're prone to more losses. But that's okay, again, because the interior motive here, the main goal is more losers than, I mean, more winners than losers, period. You see what, like, for example, what I do, I day trade the equity, right? And I look to position trade some of the special sharp action. Okay, that's what I'm swinging. But every day I come in and I'm looking to day trade off the momentum. Like, for example, WDC today, I day traded. Okay. I'm not going to make a score off any of my day trades. I'm looking to just ride the momentum, make some money, get out. If there's no momentum, I'm stopping myself out. I move on. I know not every name that I play I'm going to make money with, but my goal is to be profitable. That's it. To have more winners than losers. Right? If I have more, if I'm stopping myself out and doing the right thing, okay, and there's no reason not to stop yourself out, because you're not trying to hit a home run with this particular style that I'm talking about. Okay, it's almost like me betting the ball games. That's what I'm doing. Right? I'm looking to make 2,000 or I'm going to lose 1,000. I'm looking to make 2,000 or I'm going to lose 1,000. At the end of the day, I have the confidence that I'm going to be profitable in the long run. And on the side, I'm swing trading, the sharp activity. I'm using the equity dharmas to day trade. I'm using the equity. So, but you got to understand, a lot of people have tried that approach, this approach, okay? And you know what happens? They go a couple days, okay? They're not dealing with any big size account, could be small account, mediocre account. And at the end of the week, they're plus $400. And they see everybody on Twitter talking about 4,000% gains. And they say, you know what am I doing here? Plus $400? I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to put it all in IGT front month and go for the gusto. So that's it. More winners, more wins than losses, period. If you're looking to stick around in this game. However you come up with it, whichever way you get to that outcome. But there's got to be a strategy in place. If you're going to come in every day and think, again, you're Paul Tudor Jones or you're Jesse Livermore or whatever guy you want to mention, and you could trade anything that's in front of you on any given day because you're the shit, you're not going far. Don't like day trading, only swing and it's too much risk with cow shit day trading. For me, it's less risk. So I don't know what you mean. Less risk, less reward for me. Where my swing account, I'm looking candlesticks. I don't use candlesticks. I can't even make out a chart with candlesticks. Sometimes I can't even see what the fuck the stock did that day. Why? Candlesticks are going to make me money? Come on now. Please. Let me tell you something. Early on in my career, I'm being honest, okay? I got to a point early on in my career, I looked around me. I said, what are all these jabronis doing? They all got these charts up, candlesticks up, Ichimoku clouds up, this up, that up, right? They're all looking at the same stocks. They're all looking at the same charts. What in the hell chance do they have in making money in this game? Are all the riffraff looking at candlesticks going to make money in this game? We know 99% of the traders fail in this game. 99% of them look at candlesticks. Why the hell would I want to look at candlesticks? Maybe because they look pretty. That's about it. Yeah, honey. No, but listen, again, everybody has a different niche, you know? What I'm saying is everybody is looking at the same thing. You're wasting your time. If everybody sees a freaking head, shoulders, knees, and toes pattern on S&P 500, what is the likelihood that pattern plays out? If everybody and their mother sees it. Sometimes you got to look at things logically in this game. Sometimes just logic. Anybody have anything else to add? Any names? We had a good conversation, though. Good conversation today. Maybe next week we'll bring somebody on. I know I said this week, but I don't even know how to do it. Those of you who know me, I don't have to explain myself when it comes to this stuff. Yeah, DWDP, it looks a lot better now. This is what I mean by spot, Alex. It caught the action. I think it was here, right? Was it this day, this day? I think it was the day after the next day. Huge insider buy, had a pop. You had the Nigerians talking about it on CNBC, blah, blah, blah. I think if you were looking for a trade out of that, you had to sell that rip. I know it wasn't much, but you had to because of so many eyeballs on it. But that's what I didn't like about the spot. You were up 1, 2, 3, 4. You were up like 5 days, 4 or 5 days in a row here. Here looks interesting. So if they get aggressive here, I might take a shot at it. Again, for me, Alex, they have to prove to me that they have a lot of confidence in this thing. Okay? So the longer this DWDP sticks around here, the more buying I want to see them do. They got to force me to buy. That's what I'm looking for here. Why am I looking for just that? Because of the environment we're in. There's not a lot of momentum out there. You see, things pop, the next day they drop. They pop, they drop. They're not going anywhere. I mean, unless you're buying Amazon or AMD. So that's why. If you're looking for more than just a trade, you got to look for the nice action. Like the PZZA, Pablo, I'd be out of it. Like that, it did what it was supposed to do, in my opinion. If you got in for a trade, I think you got to look to get out of this. And what do you have? September's? You can't tell me you're looking for new highs in September's. If you got in this off the action at a decent spot down here, you got the squeeze, I think you got to look to take this. I think you got to look to take this. Oh, you did? You took it? Yeah, because you off the action, you're looking for the momentum. Oh, that's a score, 100%. You kidding me? A double in 3 days. That's a home run. That's a home run. Intel, I haven't really seen much in Intel. Today there was a little put action because there was some headline out there. So you had a little put action. Small put action, nothing major. But I haven't seen any real deal buying yet. Nothing in Adobe. Did Adobe report yet? No, right? They still got to report Adobe. You know, there are a couple names out there. Like, for example, there's WDC. If they continue to hit it here, you know, then it becomes interesting. Off one sweep, I'm looking to day trade it at the most, you know? Yeah, AA had a decent move too. Tepper bought Micron. Tepper bought MU. Oh, minus 5%? Oh, no, 5% increase last quarter. Yeah, Micron's been kind of quiet. But that's the tariff stuff too, right? That's weighing on it. China and all. I mean, Ani, it's incredible, you know, how they're leaning on this stuff. It's incredible. Eventually, you know what I mean? Eventually, there's going to be money to be made in these things. We just got to wait it out. We got to be patient and wait it out. Maybe, like you said, maybe the Tepper sweepers give us a heads up. We already know how he plays. You know, but this is, look, it can't get out of its own way right now. There's so many decent setups. You know, even like a Caterpillar down here, you know, if they really come after it, they nibble at it, but they don't really come after it. You know, caught a little action, remember, recently, Caterpillar? Never really went anywhere. But if they hammer it, Stevie Cohen sold Facebook and bought Google. Yeah, I haven't seen any action in Google lately. He sold Facebook, huh? Yeah. Netflix had similar to Baidu, December sweep. You know, you want to see them hit it again. You know, these one sweeps, it's not the market for it right now. That's the problem. It's not the market for it right now. You may see momentum that day, but you know, in reality, Netflix one sweep, it means nothing. You know, off a pull like this, you want to see them really get aggressive in Netflix. You want to be convinced. So in other words, you see a sweeper in Netflix, you're like, oh, wow. All right, that's a good looking sweep. Then 10 minutes later, they hit it again. Then they hit it again after that. Then they hit it again. You know what I mean? You want to see that aggression, that aggressiveness. That's why we're big fans of aggressive activity, especially in the big names, especially. All right, boys and girls, I'm losing the voice here. Always a pleasure. Stay patient out there, huh? Stay patient. Let some earnings get through here. We got what? NVIDIA, a couple big names left this week. And things should clear up here little by little. One way or another, they're either going to get aggressive or they're not. And if they don't, we might have a little bumpy ride come September. But I got a feeling they're going to come in and storm things at some point here. We'll see. All right. Yeah, we got, you reminded me. I always forget. WallStreetJesus.com you go to. And there's a strategy section there as well, where you can learn a little bit more about what the hell we're looking at. All right. And if you have an interest, we got the 3-day free trial. You get an idea of what the hell we do there for 3 days, then 50% off the first month. What you're talking about, private Twitter, you go here, products, private Twitter, and that's $59.99 a month. All right. All right. Any questions? You guys know where to find me. Be good, everybody. I'll talk to you guys soon.